Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Shout out to Brazil Yesh again and the Blue Book Gentleman. Let me go ahead and play something from his more recent upload. I want you guys, let's see if I can find it. I want you guys to hear this. Hold on.
Majority of Asian countries are very anti-black, which also makes me kind of laugh a little bit at the passport bros who think that they're going to go to Asia and find themselves like a Korean or a Thai wife that's submissive to them, because one, most of these countries, their families are not going to let these men marry their daughters because of how racist they are. But for two, some of these countries, especially in Southeast Asia, the women are not submissive.
Okay, now this is a white lady trying to tell us brothers that most of Asia is anti-black. Most of us are going to the part of Asia that's not that anti-black. That's Southeast Asia. Ironically, how many of us are looking specifically to go to China and telling everybody else about it? No. We hitting up Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, maybe Japan. Japan's about as far from the tropics as you'll find the bulk of us going. And that's largely because as nationalist as Japanese can be, they're not racist on average. And if, the ones of us that are Muslim, we're going to the southern Philippines, southern Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia, and Brunei. And those of us that are not are going to Thailand and the Philippines and all the lands in between them. That's where we wind up going. And I can understand because, in all honesty, I've been to Southeast Asia before, and it's very familiar to us. As a tropical people, it's very familiar to us. We got one brother from New Orleans that just moved out to Ghana. Lord bless him. You know who you are, but I'm not going to say your name. I'm going to let you say it on your channel first, unless you've done it already. But yeah, we got that. We're not going places where they're just anti-black in any large numbers. And as I've stated, if you want to mess with a woman whose people are anti-black, your best bet is to not go to her homeland. So we got brothers out in Thailand attracting Indian women, but this is in Thailand. It's not in India. Ain't nobody finna jump him and beat him because he's with an Indian woman. So this is a white lady trying to appeal to the sisterhood. She don't know foot to walk she talking about. Hold on.
I would rather get your passport, go to a country where they are disadvantaged, where they literally make pennies on the dollars, and they would see you as some sort of black savior, where her parents will allow you to take their barely legal daughter back to America, marry her in hopes that she will have a better life and give them a better life. For what? For what? That doesn't even make sense. And then most of the time, it doesn't even work out for you, because what happens is she gets on her feet and she leaves you. She gets what she needs and she leaves you. Just because she doesn't speak English doesn't mean she's stupid. Why don't y'all just be better people? Why don't you just be a modern person? But you want to be a passport bro and exploit these young girls? That's not the flex you think it is. But you better have at it. Have at it.
See, they always try to act like, I'm not bothered by it. Y'all go ahead. But this is what's wrong with it. They always keep saying that. And you'll pick up on this. And this is our sister. Y'all can see this on Brazil Yesh's channel. The title is Asian Women Are What? ? 4 dots, Blue Book Gentleman. That's the title of it. Look. When this sister gets to talking, you can tell right off the bat what the problem is. She's projecting. She's saying there's no reason that any of these women would want your funky behind Negro unless they gonna use you. And that's because that's how she's trying. She wants to view you this way. And she does. And when she doesn't, she still tries to. That's what this sister's saying. She's saying, if I was in that position, I would view you as someone to use to get out of that position. But what she don't understand is these women ain't her. See, she's been socialized to be a Western hyena bitch. Even while trying to be polite about it, she's been socialized to be that. So she views you as someone to use. You don't have to just be useful. A lot of relationships are transactional around the world. But what this woman is saying is, you need to love me while I use you. That's how she's been trained. And she's not the only one. She's typical in this regard. But she can't fathom the mindset of a lady that would actually honor you and not mistreat you and not disrespect you. Now, granted, there was a time that a lot of women probably would look at you as any American and say, well, you know what, let me move my whole family into stuff like that. There was that time. Things seem to have changed, and it also seems to depend on where you go. I mean, my parents did tell me a long time ago, son, before you get with these women from other places, you need to be careful there. You come home one day, their whole family be there. Now, I don't think it's that simple as far as immigration goes. But they were saying to me years ago, you got to be careful about being used. The thing is, later on, I had to understand that that was going to happen no matter what. And they realized that. Now, I'm married to someone who, carries a U.S. passport, has the rights to another passport, but doesn't do these things. And my parents see how happy I am, and they're happy with her, even though they haven't met yet because they live in two different countries. Last time I left the U.S. and came back here, they sent with me 2 gift cards, greeting cards to thank her, because they were like, ain't nobody made our son this happy. I'm going to tell you this, gentlemen. She can't get around it. And what does she say? Why can't you just be better people? Well, see, Austin Holloman doesn't explain that. You can do all the self-improvement and become all the better person you want to. But with whom will you be matched if you do that? Should we be better people? Yes, we should. Why can't they be better people? We understand this. Both of these ladies are jumping into a conversation that really didn't involve them. It involved those of us who know about Re-Blacktriation, talking to brothers that were still back in the States or the UK, or maybe even some other nations, telling them about the benefits of Re-Blacktriation to certain areas. And these ladies want to jump in and say, but. No, how about you get your butt back in that chair and fit all the way to suck down, as these ladies like to say, and fut the shuck up. We weren't talking to you. Plus, everything you say is just wrong. You don't know what the walk you talking about. We do, because we've done this before. I stumbled into being an SYSBM, SYSMB, IBMO. I stumbled into these, into being any kind of BMPT, black male passport traveler, a Re-Black-triate, as I would call us collectively. I didn't even know about this when I left. I was coming here for a job, like a lot of people have left for other reasons. And then found out that, generally speaking, men and women are happier here. I knew American women were rough, but I didn't know how happy the men were in many other places. And I mean, here, this is Saudi. Men in Southeast Asia are probably happier with the wives that they marry than the men here are. So, I mean, understand, gentlemen, all they're really saying is, if you can't handle us treating you like that, then you're weak and something's wrong with you, because we're supposed to be this way. And by the way, if these other women are honest, they'll treat you the same way we treat you. And if they're not, then they're lying, because the only thing we can ever see you as being good for is to be used in exactly some way we would not tolerate you using us. That's what they're saying to you. Why should we be of any value to you? She's only going to try to be of value because of how bad a situation in which she finds herself. They think that all these women are broke and poor. It's dumb. But that's why they keep telling you this stuff. Now, this is what I want to tell you guys. On Patreon, I got 8 travel tips I done uploaded. 8 of them at this point. And they're only for the Patreon passengers of Jet Black Airways, because they paid. But it's only $5. And I mention this because it's not just the financial benefit to me, although that's part of it. It's not that much. It's only $5 US a month. But the thing I want us to do is to get on my Patreon so that we can have these discussions about the travel tips, and we can all to collectively brainstorm and trade more information, more tactics, more evasive measures and maneuvers we can take. Because at this point, all of us Re-Black-triates are on the radar. Any BMPT is on the radar, whether it's IBMOR, SYSBM, SYSMB, Passport Bro, Passport Gang. Passport Pookies are on the radar too, and they ain't with us, but they're there. They're on the radar. Sisters ain't happy with their butts either. So if they're on the radar, you know we on the radar and they mad at us. So I want you guys to understand that when we're talking on YouTube, that's good for getting information out. But when we're going to start collectively talking to each other, we got to have some spaces where they don't want to go. Facebook is fine for what we want everyone to know. And you can join these groups where they try to keep out the spies. But the Patreon, understand this, the spies don't want to sit up here and put money in my pocket. Even if it's only $5, they don't want to do that. I'm a nobody, but to the ones who know about Black Mind's YouTube channel, they don't want to. If they're ops, they don't want to support me. They want to find a way to strip me of money. But most importantly, what I'm looking for is for us to trade these ideas in a type of closed space. That's what I'm going to ask you guys to do. I'm going to try to find a way to get the Cash App guys in for free, but I think I probably have to have your email addresses to do that. But I don't know exactly how that works. I'll do it the best I can. But I want us to be able to trade notes and tactics and everything else on how to evade the missiles they're going to try to throw at us. Because they're going to first see, their long-term goal is to try to get the government involved to stop us from getting passports. I don't know how to do it, but they will try. But in the meantime, you gentlemen need to understand this, and I'm going to tell you this and then I'm out. You gentlemen need to understand it, because from now on the radar, you got all these women making these reaction videos. All these women got some male relatives somewhere. They got to, just like we all got to have female relatives. With these women, they represent the views of many of our own lady relatives, lady cousins, sisters, moms, aunts, grandmoms, even sometimes daughters and granddaughters. You got to understand that since we're on the radar, they're going to be checking you to see if you are getting a passport and if you were interested in going abroad and why. And they're sitting up in the hair salons because we're not there. As much as they're telling on each other on social media now, there's still areas where they sit up and discuss things. So there's a curve ahead of which most of us are not in terms of what they discuss. And we need to know that they're doing that so they can be in the hair salons and we're not in there. And they have discussions in these hair salons and even in each other's kitchens when we're not around, and we don't know what they're talking about. And I don't even know how I came to understand this, but I can tell that they're talking about these passports and stopping us from going abroad. The real truth is this: if it was as bad as they say that it is, and they're all out to use us, especially Southeast Asia, they'll sit up and use Massa Charlie and won't use you. Can you imagine that? They will use Massa. He got to bring the dough and pay these dowries and stuff. You show up and you need to not be a bum, but they want you. You're the preference, depending on which part you go to. Southeast Asia, you generally are the preference. Hell, I might be as well myself. But think about that. That's better than Africa in that regard. I'm not proud to say that, but it's true. I just want to give credit where it's due. And if it was really as bad as what they're saying, everybody's out to use you, they wouldn't care about you leaving. They'd be glad. Because understand, sometimes they hate you more than they love themselves. They're upset because it is not that bad everywhere else. You got to be the provider. Yeah, you're the one financially responsible, but you don't have to be materialistic. You don't have to be a baller out of control. Some of them are looking and they're saying, some of them are pretty much saying, well, I mean, he got the balls we want. And I don't even think that it's okay for them to stereotype us below the belt like that. But then they don't mean any harm when they're doing it. What they are saying is we will value those. And that's a part and parcel of it. Because have we not said to some of these elders amongst us that they need to raise their daughters to look at us with lust in their eyes if they want to keep us? Did we not say this? Some of the elders are like, well, we know it ain't really up to us. And others said, yeah, that's true. She needs to do that. If she's going to look at any man like that, she needs to be able to look at her husband like that. Gentlemen, I've gone on long enough. But we need to have these discussions, and we need to have them somewhere where others aren't. And let's just look. If it ain't gonna be mine, then okay, then make it Edward Allen Anderson's. He got a Patreon. I think his costs even less. But we need to go somewhere and have these discussions. Thank you all for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout, Assalamu Alaikum, and Black Heterosexual, Non-Select Male Patriarchy until extinction or Judgment Day. Thank you again for choosing Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with me until the wings and the wheels fall off. Justice forever.